Hi, welcome or welcome back to my decorating series. I'm going to go inside and we're going to go to the 6th floor again for the library. This whole floor has a theme. So we have the reading room and of course we need a library. So it seemed logical for me to start with the bookcases this time because whatever the bookcases look like will kind of inform the color choices. And at first I really thought I was going to use the white bookcases that were freestanding with the blue that went along the wall, but I didn't like the doors on the white ones. I wanted them to be open bookshelves. So I went with the brown, and I didn't know what I was going to do with the walls until I put that periwinkle up. Now I'm still auditioning other colors, but for some reason when I put that periwinkle one up, I thought, oh, I like the way these freestanding bookshelves are popping out against it. So the other thing I wanted to check on was like the little nooks that we have access to. There's like 3 of them, and I really wish I could have made the color palette work with the Beauty and the Beast one, because I really like that and I really want to use it, but I didn't like it here, and so I decided I'll probably try and use it somewhere else. I figured a wood floor would make the most sense, and oh yeah, the waffle floor. That's what it makes me think of every time I see it, is just a floor full of waffles. And I liked the medium tone the best. I don't like the fact that the wood tones are all different, but by the end, it's fine. Oh, and I was going to go to Scrooge's store and then went, oh, I didn't even think about the door yet. So here I am, poking around at the door again, wishing I had more choices again, but it's okay. And then I had to go to Scrooge's shop really early because I didn't have enough bookshelves. I want this whole room to be bookshelves. And it ends up being a very simple room in the end because I just wanted to cram as many shelves into this room as felt reasonably comfortable. It still feels pretty cramped in the end, but I kind of like that. I didn't want big windows in here. I didn't want bright windows in here. I work in a library, so light's an issue. Light is like the enemy of objects, essentially. So I didn't really want overpowering windows in here, and I'm just trying to cram as much bookshelves in. I wanted it symmetrical. I knew that. So I'm experimenting with how close I can put rows of bookshelves in here. The other reason I really liked, well, the white ones would have been fine too. I really like that these bookshelves can go right up back to back. So it feels like it's a solid unit of shelving as opposed to a gap where it looks like they're, I mean, we can pretend, right? But I wanted to make sure that they were as close together as possible. And then, yeah, that central thing is a little bit too narrow. So instead of having 4 rows of bookshelves, I went ahead and turned the center in and made it perpendicular, and realized I could get a little bit closer to the door. But then I decided I didn't want those bookshelves along the wall because I was thinking, oh, it would be nice to have kind of a shelving returns area. Again, I work in a library, so I'm always thinking about like what happens with the books that you need to put away but aren't ready to put away right away. So there needs to be a place to set things down and organize them to put them away. I kind of wish I had some book carts, but the trolleys really don't look like book carts. And the ones I chose, I would like them a little better if they had wheels, but, it's fine. I'm being nitpicky because, I do this professionally. So, yeah, I realized the plants were going to be a little bit too squished in there. Couldn't really find any plants that I felt worked in here. And then lights. I couldn't center a lot of the lights on the wall over there. And I didn't want lights that hung down too low. So although I used those 3 there, the 3 pendant lights, in the end I end up changing them. And then by the time I got to these ornate lights, the Aladdin ones, I was like, they're a very different aesthetic than the bookshelves. but I really liked how they looked. And then I wanted to make sure I tried it out in the night lighting. And as soon as I did that, I was like, these are the lights. I love how they look in here. It kind of reminds me of used bookstores that I would go to as a kid, where the shelves were, everything was packed in and there was dim lighting, or, you know, there was probably really good lighting, but with all the books and all the shelves, it felt very dim and cave-like. And then I'm just messing with the spacing because everything's very close quarters in here. But in the end, I figure out something that pleases me enough to feel right in the space. Oh yeah, I kept trying to fill spaces on these walls, and I thought maybe some awards or some curtains or just little things. I liked that tapestry, but I've used it a couple times already, so I decided not to do that. And yeah, in the end, I was just like, I don't think anything needs to go there. All right, let's go in and check out the second room on the 6th floor, the library. I'm kind of glad that this room was simple this week. I've actually caught something from one of my kids, so I've been feeling a little run down during the recording of this. And it really worked out because this room ended up needing to not be super complicated. The main feature of this room is the books. And although I don't think it would be fun to run through this room regularly, the fact that this is just for fun and just for decor, I feel like works for how tight quarters everything is in here. I love this little book return sorting area that I made. It's not huge, but it's a home library, so it's not like it has to be, you know, for tons of students or public users or whatever. And I like that there's a vibe of that used bookstore feel, especially when I think I actually do it for kind of showing it off. Yeah, here we go. I turn the lights back to where it would be evening time, and just these Aladdin lights just make me feel like, you know, kind of a cram-packed used bookstore. And I loved being in stores like that when I was a kid. So I really like the fact that at first I wasn't gonna try them, and then I was like, maybe I should stick these lights in here. And I really love like the vibe it gives to this room. It's an interesting mix of Frozen. I think there's a little bit of Beauty and the Beast elements in here, and then Aladdin. Again, not really thinking about these aesthetics going together until you start playing around with the objects, and I dig the results when it happens. That's it for today's decorating adventure. If you liked this video, a thumbs up is a great way to let me know, and a subscription will keep you up to date on my latest shenanigans. If you want to hang out with me live, I stream on YouTube and Twitch on Thursday evenings and middays on Sunday. I hope you have a lovely day, night, time, wherever you are, whenever you are, and I'll see you next time.